Hi, good, Tara.
For the second straight year, they go golden. Madison Hubble and Zachary Donohue, there they are on top of the podium at the GEICO U.S. Figure Skating Championships. They were champions last year in San Jose, and they repeat tonight in front of a home crowd of sorts in Detroit, holding off a nice comeback skate this evening for Madison Chock and Evan Bates. But it's Hubble and Donohue who repeat as ice dance champions tonight here inside the Little Caesars Arena. Hey everyone, Nick McCarville here. It's the Bridgestone Ice Desk, and we're so excited to have you along for the ride. We're going to wrap up the free dance. It was a great competition this evening, and then we have a lot to look forward to tomorrow with the men. Want to let you know who I am with here this evening, and that includes Emily Samuelson Dunford, Michael Weiss, and Brooke Castile. There they are. Hi guys.
Hello.
We're ready for some free dance. First off, our resident ice dance expert, what did you think overall from that free dance?
It was a strong event. It was filled with emotion and passion, and especially from the top two teams, there was a lot of energy. Top three teams, there's a lot of energy there. It was really good. It was actually, we'll get into this in a little bit, the night of the iffy twizzles for the men. There were a couple of them who made some very small mistakes that were hard to see, but affected some of their levels. But overall, I thought it was a very solid event.
Yeah, it really was. So Hubble and Donohue come away as champions. Second place for Chock Bates. That third place goes to Caitlin Hawayak and Jean-Luc Baker. And that pewter medal goes to Lorraine McNamara and Quinn Carpenter. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. Let's look first at Hubble and Donohue. They're skating with that revamped Romeo and Juliet. And Emily, this is a program, it starts off so dramatic, and they really carry it from there.
Oh yes, this beginning is awesome. I mean, the whole program they skated it beautifully, it was powerful, it had tragedy, it was just a really, really well done program overall.
Brooke, what were your impressions of this? Because we saw this at Skate America, but gosh, it feels like a completely different program, and it's so jarring, that switch from the drama to the very soft and flowing music they use.
Yeah, she is so good from going from that smoldering look to just soft hands. Every muscle in her body makes her float across the ice, but they are also so powerful, and their ice coverage is so impressive, and I think that is what my takeaway from them tonight was above the rest.
It was no, go ahead, Mike.
No, I think it was funny. I heard the interview with Rusty afterward, and you heard Maddie talking, and she said that right at the beginning of the program, they kind of looked at each other, and they kind of got really focused. And I think of that's kind of what gets them in their zone. And I think of that, I'm going to call that now the Hubble bubble. It's like they're in their own little bubble, and it's a joke, but it's also serious. They kind of get in their own world. They get really focused, and that's when you know they're going to be their best.
I was going to say we need to use that as a hashtag
Hubble
bubble. I really like that. What I was going to ask you about, Mike, is just the pressure of being defending champs, because you did it 3 times, I think, at Nationals. To come back for them, obviously it's not an Olympic year, but they had a lot of pressure tonight to come through and defend their title.
Yeah, it is a different situation. We've talked about that with all the disciplines. People having to defend their title is always a little bit more difficult. But with the two of them, they've had a year that has just been consistent, and they've just been consistently winning and performing and getting better and better and improving. And now they came in as the favorite, which they haven't been ever. This is the first time they've ever been a favorite. So to be able to come in and repeat as national championships and now position themselves really well for the World Championships.
And even just repeating that through the entire season for them, I mean, they've really had the opportunity to hone these elements. Those grades of execution were through the roof for them. And the skating skills as well, their power, their intricacy of their edges and their choreography, everything went really well for them.
He had the tiniest, you mentioned this at the top of the show, tiniest mistake on the twizzles.
Tiniest little bobble on the second twizzle. It looked like he kind of flipped an edge. If you were watching their heads, you probably couldn't see it. They were still in sync kind of through that whole thing. But looking at the feet, you could see just the slightest little mistake there, which downgraded him to a level 3. Now, in ice dance, that's only a quarter point of a difference, but it still does add up. I mean, a quarter point, and then you get a couple minus GOEs. it can add up in the long run.
Well, what helped them, those GOEs tonight, because they end up 4 points ahead of Chock Bates overall. They won the free skate by just about a couple points. Let's go ahead and look at Chock Bates. And I just thought this was so refreshing, Brooke Castile, when we saw them come out in this free dance, because I hadn't seen this. Honestly, I didn't watch them when they performed in Poland, and it was a really cool program to watch.
Well, and essentially this is a whole new look for them. I was really curious to see how they were going to look under their new coaching team, and I was blown away. I absolutely loved the detail in this program. It was from start to finish, completely every inch of every part of their body was perfectly in detail, and then their lifts are just stunning. And Marie France and Patrice were known for their lifts when they competed, and I was really curious to see what they were going to do with Maddie and Evan, because I feel like for them they're probably a dream to choreograph for, because they can do so many different cool elements that Marie France and Patrice were actually known for.
Well, for me, I mean, Emily can speak more to the detail of all the intricacies of all the lifts and elements in the dance respect, but for me, this was the winning free dance.
Me too.
I mean, I felt like this had a bigger energy, not taking anything away from Maddie and Zach because their performance was very good. But for me, this was the better free skate, and I felt like they should have won this. The free dance. I think they should have won this free dance. Maybe not the overall, but I feel like they should have won this.
It definitely, for me, it definitely won the building. It definitely won inside
exactly
the arena. But why didn't it win with the judges?
Yeah, I think that it's a couple different things. One of it is that the levels. I mean, the levels, you need all level 4s really, and their diagonal step sequence actually got downgraded to a level 3. That ended up costing about half a point. But really, it was the program components and the skating skills and some of those grades of execution that just weren't quite as high as Maddie and Zach's. Part of it, I think, is the power. Like, Maddie and Zach are a very powerful team. Maddie and Evan can have a little bit more of that to really fill out the rink. And then for some of the grades of execution, it could just be because they're still honing this program and fine-tuning it and doing these on repeat after having been away from her injury for so long. So as they do this more and more leading into Worlds, those GOEs may go up and Worlds may be a whole different ballgame.
I mean, the crowd was on the feet. People booed when they got their score. Imagine if this wasn't their first competition of the season.
Oh, right. Exactly.
So, I mean, this is going to grow, and it was already just completely awesome and different, which was cool. It was cool to not just see someone skate to the obvious choice of music that the judges are going to like. It's safe. You can rely on it, because in skating, people tend to rely on classical music, and to have them do something a little bit different, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was a program that they love the free dance, and they've excelled in the free dance in the past, but it was a different kind of Maddie and Evan than I've seen before in the time that I've worked in the sport. Really cool. Second place. Good comeback for Chock Bates now. Is second place here at Nationals. What about for Caitlin Hawayak and Jean-Luc Baker? We'll look at their free dance here, and they come in with the expectation to win a medal. And Emily, they get the bronze medal tonight. This is a team that's really worked hard at honing themselves. We saw before the free dance trying to not take things, but present more seriously, because they're working really hard to make a name for themselves domestically.
They are, and they've come a long way. This is a team that has paid their dues. They've been around for a while, and they've been improving every single time they come in front of this U.S. national crowd, and even the international crowds too. They skated a very solid program. They just, to get to that next level, it's the small things, the little finishes, the little bit deeper edges and crispness of the skating, things like that that'll really get them towards where Maddie and Zach and Maddie and Evan are, but they have been improving tremendously, and they skated very well tonight.
I thought it was a tough atmosphere for them, Mike, because they not only skate after Hubble and Donohue, but then Chock and Bates go, and then they're last to go up in the free dance. That is a lot of sort of added elements to what you're trying to do out there, trying to win a medal at Nationals.
It is, and normally that would be very intimidating in that situation, but all of these teams now train together. And when you're used to training together and you're used to doing your run through right after the other one does, you're like, all right, they did their run through, now I'm doing my run through, now I'm doing my run through. I was noticing, Marie France Dubray and Patrice Lauzon, they coach everybody now. And Patch was down there, Patrice Lauzon, Patch, his nickname. I would just watch him. He never went to the kiss and cry because he literally had the next team goes on. Right. They do well, then the next team goes on, and he's got to put the next team on every time. So that says that, it says so much for their training ability for all these athletes and all these dancers. But like I said, it's a comfort zone for them. It's almost very comfortable because they're used to training that way at home, and now they're just performing it in front of thousands of people.
I actually had a moment where I was like, wait, where is Patrice Lauzon? I thought I saw him earlier in the week.
I
but
had that same moment.
yeah, just the fact that he is working with all three of those top teams. I mean, it's a Montreal sweep here at the U.S. Championships, which is pretty crazy. It was a great night for McNamara and Carpenter. They sneak in from 5th into 4th after the rhythm dance into the free dance. So well done from them with that pewter medal. Disappointment tonight for the Parsons because of the fall, and it was a hard fall for Michael. We have tape of that fall on the Twizzles. Emily, we'll take a look at this here. But what happened? What went wrong here?
Yeah, it was just a little slip of the edge. Like, it almost looked like he was slightly off balance and first hit his toe pick, and then that caused him to go back off his back edge. Just one of those flukes that you hope doesn't happen in the Twizzle, and it did. The Twizzles are one of the hardest elements for ice dance. Not only do you have to be perfectly in sync with your partner at a very, very fast speed, but you're also traveling across the ice, and one little edge slip, one little catch of an edge or toe pick can totally throw off the whole thing.
So in practice, when you're training as an ice dance couple, as a team, how often do fluke accidents happen like that? And then what's the plan for, because I thought he had 3 to 5 seconds of like, oh my gosh, I can't say what he was probably thinking on air.
Right.
But then he really reset really well.
Oh yeah, they absolutely did reset well, and you train yourself to do that. I mean, whether a tiny mistake in practice comes in the Twizzles or in the footwork or whatever it might be, it's getting back up and continuing to skate and continuing to go with a smile on your face or whatever you're trying to present, and just trying to put it out of your mind. I mean, the really top talented skaters can just put it behind them and continue like nothing happened, and then afterwards you beat yourself up over it and say, what in the world just happened there? But while it's going on, you just have to stay in that moment.
Yeah, certainly. A 5th place finish too for Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponmarenko. And Brooke, we were talking about them before the free dance. They were junior national champions last year. They're both 18 years old. This is a team that, even though this is a really deep ice dance field in the U.S., they could really try to make their mark moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the dancers that I talked to throughout the week and tonight, I always like try to pick their brain. What's your opinion? When you're not an ice dancer, sometimes it's a little bit harder to see, even though I'm married to an ice dancer. It's still hard to pick things up. But one of the great things about her is that, well, everyone's talking about them. Everyone's saying, wow, I think that they are the 4th place team and who we are going to be watching for. But I was so impressed for her age, the control she has over her body. And Emily and I were both talking about this. Emily was saying how she can just let her head go and still keep control on her feet. That is really difficult. And she does it so well. And I just think that there's going to be big things for them.
Yeah, they're both only 18, which is pretty incredible to see.
And they don't skate like it. They don't skate like 18-year-olds.
Absolutely. No, they skated very, very well. Again, slight bobble on the Twizzles on his side, and same with Jean-Luc Baker as well. The tiniest little bit, but overall they skated pretty solid.
Okay, well, they ended up 7th overall, but one of the moments of the night really did belong to Karina Manta and Joe Johnson. They train in Colorado Springs. They work with Ben Augusto. They were choreographed by Christopher Dean. She last fall came out as bisexual. She's the first queer woman to skate in competitive skating, and she said that she wanted to be an example, and Christopher Dean really put them into this program, and this was a standing ovation for them at the end of this program, Emily.
It was, I know. I was watching with some people in the crowd, and everybody turned to me and said, this is my favorite program of the night. This was so much fun. And you could see how much fun they were having. I mean, the energy that they brought to it, this was perfect for them. And they really sold it tonight, and the crowd loved it. Look at this. I mean,
choreography
the
on
dancing
points.
straight in front of the camera.
I couldn't sit down and watch them. I had to stand up the whole time. This was my favorite moment of the night. I'm always prepared for when you ask us for our favorite moments, and I usually blank out. I was ready for it. This was my favorite moment. I think they are so much fun to watch, and I love that they are bold and different and are not afraid to skate to something like that. And I think as soon as the music started, the whole crowd was into it. They were all on their feet before they even finished. That was the only team that got a standing O during their program. And it's just and it's obvious Christopher Dean choreography. It's so awesome.
The Sweet Dreams moment. I always feel like, Mike, there's someone, that's outside of, the top 5 that has a moment like that, and they picked the right music. Everything sort of came together for them.
Well, it was a brilliantly choreographed program. I love all of Christopher Dean's work, and what he does so well is he finds the things that skaters do well and he emphasizes them and he puts them to the forefront. And that may not be tons of speed or huge extension. It may be something as subtle as very detailed music, and that's exactly what he did to them. And one of the biggest challenges a lot of times when you're skating is to get the audience behind you, and music can easily automatically, just by playing the right music, you have the audience behind you. Now you just got to keep up with that music, and they did a great job keeping up with the music and doing it with all the details so that the audience was on its feet before they even finished.
Yeah, they certainly did. So 3 spots for Worlds, obviously in ice dance. We'll find those out, I think, tomorrow. But just to talk about for a second the international field, because you've got Gabriela Papadakis and Guillaume Cizeron. They just won their 6th European title. Weaver and Poget just won Canadian Nationals last weekend. But then you look elsewhere in ice dance right now, and a lot of those top flags are American flags, and we'll see that at the World Championships in Japan. Whichever 3 teams go, you would assume the podium here, the top 3, they could really compete for 1 medal, maybe 2 medals, but definitely a couple top 5 spots.
Absolutely. Ice dance is very, very strong in the U.S. right now, and I think that they're going to do phenomenally at Worlds. I mean, they have here, they have through their Grand Prix circuits, and now we have Evan and Maddie back and skating well. I think that it's going to be a really strong U.S. field when we come to Worlds, and I would be surprised if it's not the top 3 teams that were on the podium tonight that go. But I think it's going to be great for them.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we got your moment of the weekend, right, for ice dance?
For ice dance, I'm going to go, I have 2. I have Maddie and Evan coming back. Totally awesome choreography. And, of course, Karina and Joe. Just bringing the house down.
I'm going to agree with you on Karina and Joe. I got to write a story about Karina and Joe for ESPN, and it was really cool to talk to them about that process and to see the bravery that Karina expressed. A really cool moment for them.
You know, my favorite, I loved Maddie and Zach's rhythm dance. I thought that was stunning, and I loved Maddie and Evan's free dance, and so much fun. You could see how much fun they were having through it. So it was really good, I think, to see each of them thrive in each of those different dances.
I just had the scary thought of the 4 of them combining their powers as one team in ice dance. What about for you, Mike Weiss?
The Hubble Bubble.
The Hubble. It's good.
Yeah.
It's going to be trending
it's
by the
really, really popular. You guys don't know yet.
hashtag Hubble Bubble. It's going to be trending by the end of Ice Desk. What's to come tomorrow? It's the final day of GEICO U.S. Championships here in Detroit. And we've got the men's free skate featuring Nathan Chen, of course, leading after the short program. Can he hold on to that lead against Jason Brown and Vincent Joe? We're on the Ice Desk right here. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at 1:55 Eastern Time, and then the men at 2:15, and then we'll be right back here later on to wrap up everything from the men, and sadly to say goodbye. I can't believe that U.S. Championships are almost finished, but thank you, a big thank you to Emily Samuelson.
Thanks
for it was so fun meeting you, and
great.
You did a knockout job. Thank you for educating all of us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, it's a good night from the Bridgestone Ice Desk for Mike, for Emily, and for Brooke and myself. We will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.